Hi, my name is Kevin Barnable with Homeland Labs. Today, we are going to show you how to collect a mold sample using a kit from Homeland Labs. Inside the envelope you will receive, be sure that you have the following contents. A chain of custody form. This is the form that you will fill out so the lab can match your sample to the location in which you collected the sample. There will also be a set of instructions to show you how to collect the sample. You will find a prepaid envelope that you will put the sample in and return it to the lab. You will also find a set of labels with a number. Be sure that the number on the labels match the number under the barcode on your chain of custody. This is very important. This is how we match your sample to the location in which you collected the sample. You will also find two testing devices, a Bioslide and a swab. You are only going to collect one sample. We provide two testing devices so that you can choose which device is best to collect the sample. We'll talk about that shortly. As we mentioned earlier, the kit will come with two different sampling devices, a swab and a Bioslide. The Bioslide is the preferred method for collecting the sample and should be used whenever you have a flat surface. As you can see here on this cabinet, we have an area where we have suspected mold growth. Simply take the Bioslide out of the case and remove the film over the adhesive. It is very important not to touch the adhesive on the slide. It is a glue, and by touching it, you could potentially damage the surface that will collect the mold sample. You then want to gently press the slide down onto the contaminated surface. You do not need to put any pressure on the slide and force it down. By doing so, you could rip paint or stain off of your surface that you're collecting, and it'll damage both the sample and potentially your wall or whatever other surface you're collecting the sample on. Once you have collected the sample, be sure that you can see debris on the sample. You then will take one of the numbered labels that we showed you earlier and place it to the left side of the slide without touching the adhesive or the sample itself. Then return the slide into the case. Be sure that the case clamps down on all edges. If you do not clamp it down properly, the slide could fall out of the case and possibly contaminate the slide. In some cases, the surface in which you want to collect your sample will not be compatible with the Bioslide. So in other words, the surface is not flat. It could be a corner or a curved edge. In that case, you want to use the swab to collect your sample. Simply take the swab out of the package. Try to be careful not to allow the swab to touch any surfaces when you remove it. You then want to remove the seal just by twisting the end of it. Take the cap off the seal. You will then take the swab and you'll hold it at approximately a 45-degree angle onto the surface in which you want to collect the sample. Place the swab down on the surface and roll it back and forth. Be sure you see some discoloration on the swab to know that you collected the sample. You will then take the swab and you would carefully return it back into the capsule, pushing it in and sealing it tight. Like the Bioslide, we will take a numbered label that's provided with the kit and we will place it onto the swab somewhere. That way we can match your sample up with the chain of custody. Again, this is to be used when you have surfaces that are either in corners or on curved edges in which you can't get direct contact with the Bioslide. One other thing to mention, do not under any circumstances when collecting a sample of the swab, smear or rub the swab. Just simply roll it on the surface. Once you have collected your sample, you need to fill out the chain of custody that will be submitted to the lab along with the sample. Again, as we mentioned earlier, make sure that the sample label numbers that we provided with the kit match the number on the barcode of the chain of custody. When we receive the sample in the lab, that's how we match it up with the information on the chain of custody. Be sure to provide the name of the client, your email address where we'll email your report to, and your phone number if we have any questions. You also want to add the property address at which the sample was collected. So this is not where we're billing to or not where you live. This is the address of where you collected the sample. You want to include whoever collected the sample's name here, actually put it in the box next to it, and then the date and time that the sample was collected. Down here under sample number, just use the number that is underneath the barcode at the top. Here, the sample location refers to the location in which you actually collected the sample at that address. For example, cabinet on basement bathroom door. You would write in this area here. Then you want to circle the type of device that you used. If you use the slide, you want to circle Bioslide. If you use the swab, you want to circle swab. Then, if there's any comments that you want to provide, like for instance, maybe you saw water damage in that area, or anything that you might be pertinent that you would like the lab to know. Finally, before releasing the kit and putting it in the mail, you need to sign the chain of custody form and the date and time in which you are sending it off.